And for that matter, even in Honduras, you go to Honduras and ask people the herbs I use, they don't even know them. Because they're too busy reading herbal books. And they're not in the herbal books. And those that are in the herbal books are hybrid.
I wish very much that you could meet Dr. Anthony Andoff. He is, I guess they call him, you can keep it over there. But Tyler?
He calls him an ethnobotanist.
Something, whatever.
Herbologist.
He went to school and got that. And
I don't think I want to meet the brother now. You know, not because I would not like to meet my brother, but I can't exchange or even entertain someone that has been educated. Remember I said, the reason why the healer is not healing today is because he has been educated. You want to hear a beautiful one? Above all else, Dr. David Ayensu. Dr. David Ayensu is a member of the Smithsonian Institution. There is a program out known as East Meets West, meaning African or Eastern medicine against Western. They begin to show where this African in Africa took some herbs and put on this lady's head because she was crazy. He took a knife and opened her skull. Ooh. He took some smoke and he smoked her around. And Dr. David Ayensu is talking about the herbs of his people. He's from Ghana and he's a member of the Smithsonian Institution. Dr. David Ayensu is the brother that is looking for the cure of leukemia using the pink periwinkle, the rosy periwinkle. Well, I don't know how Dr. Ayensu expects to derive from the rosy periwinkle the cure for leukemia when the rosy periwinkle is also an acid plant. And as for leukemia, we have cured leukemia long before Dr. Ayensu even dreamed of coming on with the rosy periwinkle. But we go back again, and we find that in the end of the program, East Meets West, which is approximately a 25 years old program, showing, comparing Western medicine against ancient medicine. And guess who wins every time?
Ancient.
No.
What?
No. No. Western medicine, the allopathic. In the end, Dr. David Ayensu and his colleagues said, well, you can clearly see that traditional medicine, is all right, but it falls short because you can't really measure the dosage for consistency. So modern medicine is by far the best. And they end the program. I said, that was so beautiful. But I knew that the day would come in which the philosophy that Dr. David Ayensu is supporting and the African biomineral balance would come face to face one day. And it happened. Dr. David Ayensu called me and said, I've heard about your works on leukemia, but we are looking for the cure of leukemia with the rosy periwinkle. I said, Dr. David Ayensu, we already cured leukemia, so you could just squash that. Just go to something else. But that's 12 years ago that I told him that. 12 years ago, Black America, and still now, does not show the interest into our health and healing the way we should. All of the healers in New York, and I could call their names, they all read books. If I take Dr. Phil Valentine and Dr. Love and Dr. this, that into the forest, they would know a natural herb from an artificial one. But we can't blame the brothers.
No.
They was ill prepared because they were prepared by Caucasians.
Well,
On the subject of you're not wanting to meet up with a particular individual, this is for clarification.
Yes.
It's not that you don't want to meet them, but based on your experience of dealing with individuals who come with certain credentials and paper from the establishment or the system schools, that you know that there's a great difficulty in a back and forth in a sharing. Your response?
My response is this. We are told that the brother that the sister want me to meet is an ethnobotanist. What do they cure?
he researches different plants.
I'm only asking, what do they cure? Research is 150 years old. We could research and research and research and research and research. We want to cure. We don't want to research and just research. What does he cure?
Well, he has
different plants he tells you that you can take that will cure.
No, hold it. How does he know that? What does he cure?
He said he's been taught. He's from Africa, and he was taught by his father, grandfather, so forth. And he says he only uses plants that are from the homeland.
You mind if I ask the question again?
It's all over the world.
What does he cure?
Any disease.
He cure AIDS?
I'm sure he does.
Well, that's good. If he cure AIDS. I'm the only individual to have diagnostic sheets showing from 5 different laboratories around the world that they have been cured of AIDS. I don't say it. I got diagnostic sheets. And that's important. Who else have those diagnostic sheets? Thank you. So I can lend myself to someone that says that it does. Where's your proof?
Speaking of that, Dr. Sebi, from being an activist, one of the things I ventured into was AIDS activism. And 5 years ago, I used to go to a few ACT UP meetings, and of course that was sponsored by Burroughs Wellcome and the European Allopathic Medical Establishment. And then later on, an organization started called HEAL. You may have heard of the Human Education AIDS Liaison, which people like Dr. Strecker and others,
Peter Duisberg.
Peter Duisberg supported that group. And HEAL, of course, I'm sure if they could find you, because many of us thought when you left us in New York City, we just felt so abandoned.
Why can't black people find me instead of heal?
Alone, that's right. And
That's more important to me than heal. But black people are not interested in their health right now.
No.
But Latin Americans are interested in it because right now we have a cadre of people who have taken to the forests of Brazil, Peru, Chile, Honduras, Guatemala, Salvador, who's right now doing research in the forest. None of them are Americans, and none of them are blacks. Why? We talk, and we talk, and we talk, and we research, and we research, and we research, and we spend all of our life researching, and disease is running rampant.
And not only that, every minute in our communities right now, we don't need to go with the sorrowful story.
Well, you have to start someplace. You do have to begin in research.
That's a sorrowful position.
Well, we have
Why?
That's a very sorrowful position.
Something if you don't know, you got to start somewhere.
How long is research? My research took me 2 years, and we cure sickle cell anemia. We cure AIDS, and we cure blindness. 2 years of research. But these other men have 25 years under their belt, and what do they cure?
You're absolutely right on that. But what I was saying is you had to start in research in the beginning.
But
in the beginning,
it wasn't
2
even,
years.
I call it research, because my grandmother was the one that did it. See, my grandmother was the healer. And she didn't go to school. So what kind of research she could have done?
Brother Sebi, research can be likened to running a relay race.
Oh, yes.
Somebody else has covered the ground, and you know about it. Then you pick up the race from where they are.
But if the race started off heading in the wrong direction, you lose. Because
Well,
The finish line is receding faster than you can run.
we heard that.
What happens is that you continually pass the baton on, but there's no finish line.
Right. It's behind you.
And running and running.
It's behind you.
So
I don't want to hear about research.
what you have.
In fact, in South America, people don't bring to me these questions. Not in South America. I live in South America. They say, Dr. Sebi, we know of no one that cures the disease that you have cured. So you have the blessing of our country. Honduras has given you all the privilege to practice your craft, regardless to what the world said. You can't go to Africa. I said, no. Although you're an African by heritage, I said, but I can't go there. They kicked me out.
So the need to research can be attributed in part to the conditioning that many of us have been through to say, well, where's your research? Whereas you point out that the
What have you done?
that's what they ask.
No, what have you researched? What have you done? That's Latin America. But that in America is arrogance. But we are arrogant, as Professor George Simmons said, that I am considered an arrogant individual. Yes, Dr. Sebi, not only you are arrogant, everybody in Honduras is arrogant. You've been independent since 1824. You have earned your position to be arrogant, and especially when it comes to the art of healing. If the rest of the physicians and herbalists have healed what you heal, they too would be more arrogant than what they are. Arrogant.
Arrogant is a demonstration.
I don't know what it means.
Of being self-confident. We don't see that.
That's okay. It doesn't matter.
But I'm saying we don't see that among our people, so that when we do see it among our people, people of color, even people of color will react, that person is arrogant.
Because they're conditioned too.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But I want to get to some basic ailments real quick. I'm Brother Leroy, and some basic ailments I want to deal with are those that some of our average people are being confronted with right now. Young brothers are beginning to show up with kidney ailments, right here in the city. And what would you attribute kidney ailments to at a young age? Also, young sisters having fibroid tumors, etc.
Reproductive problems.
Reproductive problems at a young age. When we say young age, in their 20s, something that would normally show up later on.
Thank you.
The male and female.
Would you say that starts in the colon?
No. It doesn't start in the colon. What happened? I used to say that too, that every disease begins in the colon. But if that was true, what have us eating the things that goes to the colon that makes us sick? Why are we eating the things that enters the colon that makes us sick? It is before the colon, right here.
The mind.
Not the mind. I don't know what the mind is. I have never found the mind. I hear talk about the mind. I don't know what that is. But I do know this, that when the brain is confounded, you have problems. You may put anything in your mouth. You see this hand and this big mouth goes in there. It hasn't hit the colon yet, right? It starts here.
Which is the brain.
The brain. The brain has been confounded. The computer has been confounded. G in, G out. Garbage in, garbage out. But we don't want to see that. We want to rely on spirit, mind, and soul, when these are the properties of what? Supernatural. Well, I don't live in a supernatural world. I live in a natural world. In the natural world, there is no such thing as the mind. There is no such thing as a spirit or a soul.
You mentioned on one of your tapes about you wanted to become so spiritual, and you went and you met some of these people, and they had a stomach that was meeting you in the door, and you said, "This is spiritual. I don't think I want that."
No, I don't subscribe to spiritual, because all the spiritual people are big and fat, and they got problems with their head. So I knew there was something I had to stay away from. I didn't pursue it any longer to investigate to see if there was validity in this or not.
Dr. Sebi, also to ask you that question, as far as our people and the New Age movement are caught up in this spirituality gig right now, what is the relation, you would say, then, between this spirituality, or let's say in the motherland or here, or in the Native American, the Native Aboriginal healers or witch doctors or roots people? Is there a science, or is it fantasy, or is there a combination? What's the reality in that matter, of this spirituality?
I don't know what it is. Because if it is so equitable, I mean, among the Native American, the indigenous Indians as we call them, the highest alcoholic incidence in the world is among them. How come they can't even cure that? We got problems. Among the Africans, they eating gari and bush rat. What happened to them? We have problems. Spirituality is a word that came out of Europe. Even the very word is European, like the word African. That's not African. That's not us. That's European. The country is called African, and by them, you call it African. There's a word they call spirituality. What is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Not even interested.
I'm finding that out. If you were given the assignment to open a school, not here, please, open a school and get your teachers to start teaching, where would you begin? Would you begin in research, or what would you do? Or show me plan, or how would you go about it?
Oh, I got to go way before the plan. I got to show you where we were derailed and change that environment, that brain environment. I have to change that immediately, that you could begin to see. Because with the images that you're going to see are not the images that I would see, because all of us are individually put together. We are unique, unlike the other. I would put the individual on a path that would avail him the privilege to see. And in seeing, then he could make a right decision, a good decision. That's all I did. And my grandmother started me out by understanding that I was not supposed to listen to anyone. No one but yourself. And if I have to go outside of me, train your eyes towards Mother Nature, the forest. And I would do the same.
Dr. Sebi, going back to these diseases and ailments, I know a lot of brothers and sisters who are living and those who have passed on from this quote-unquote AIDS. As a matter of fact, a young brother who was in Bellevue Hospital, who I went to see him 3 days before he died, of so-called Kaposi sarcoma, and they were giving him chemotherapy, and in his last days he suffered. And the question I want to ask you, with the body, is there any way that we can, of any disease or ailment, is there ways you can halt the progression and totally eliminate
Kaposi sarcoma?
And the diseases that you've dealt with, the AIDS, cancer, leukemias, to arrest the progression and eliminate all the whatever symptoms, damage.
But that's what we've been doing for the last 20 years.
And restoring the full body back to...
But that's the only way you could cure. Right. That's the cure. To remove that particular erosion, to remove that particular condition, whatever condition, whether AIDS or blindness, and restore 100% health. That's the only way I could do it. Through what? An intracellular cleansing. This is what is done in Miami. We put together our compound based on an electric system. Where do you go in America or in New York and find electric food in a bottle? Where do you go? And the body is electrical. We only have to ask that one question. Is the body electrical? Yes. So therefore, it necessitates electric food. Where do you find that in New York? Thank you.
Well, we're going to do our last segment, and in just a couple of minutes here. So, anybody got a real quick question? Very quick.
Yes. Being that everybody's now concerned with the AIDS, so-called AIDS situation, epidemic, what have you, I find that the so-called lesser diseases have been virtually ignored, such as herpes and
lupus,
yes,
sickle cell anemia, diabetes.
Right. And specifically, I have an interest in the sexually transmitted diseases, so-called sexually transmitted diseases, because that seems to be what plagues the younger generation, and everybody, actually.
Yes.
So, once again, in the early 80s, where you had, the herpes, it was forgotten about for AIDS. What about the herpes situation?
Can we answer that in the next segment? Just hold on to that answer. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, good.
Everybody's forgotten about the, one thing for the other thing.
It's a matter of media.
Go ahead. The answer to that.
It was asked about the sexually transmitted diseases. Those that are lesser are considered lesser, but they are not lesser. There's only one disease. There's never been two diseases in the world. There's only been one disease, the compromising of the mucous membrane. And the mucous membrane of the African has been compromised 400 years now. What has the African ate since he left Africa that is really equitable to his system? What? He has not eaten anything. So therefore, the biological structure has been weakened over a period of 400 years. And in weakening the biological structure, then you may get lupus, you may get herpes, and you will get anything.
Anything coming your way.
Because the body has been deprived and the immune system has been compromised. And the immune system is responsible for diabetes, for leukemia, for sickle cell, for every disease in the world, including death. So don't only attribute AIDS to the immune system. If your immune system is strong, you cannot get sick with any disease. So we're going to straighten that.